Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here with you from the KFAB studio in beautiful downtown Dundee. This is the only show that focuses on the growth and development of your favorite city. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with D&M Roofing and Siding. And it's time to introduce my co-host, a man right now who is wearing his bright red and white Anderson Convenience Market hoodie sweatshirt, Trenton Magid.
I've got to represent. I'm trying out for the new Anderson Convenient Market poster child contest. My friend Ray Anderson Jr. does not know that he's having a contest, so I stand a pretty good chance.
You're going to be the mascot?
Yeah.
I have a picture of you and all the stores and, kind of like maybe Ray could do, that company that, what is it, Russell Speeders has the big guy with the raincoat? Maybe there could be a big Trenton statue outside the Anderson Convenience Market.
Yeah, they want people to come use their services, though.
Anderson Convenience Market sponsors the restaurant and retail section of our Grow Omaha newsletter. And I got to tell you, I'm a little bit jealous of that sweatshirt. Do you think you could get Ray to give me one of those?
He listens, so either Shelley, his wife, or Ray, if he's listening. What size are you?
XL.
XL?
I would love an XL one.
Ray, you better give him a double X.
No, I think XL is good. I'm going back in the right direction lately.
Well,
so
I'm just glad we're here this morning. If you've looked at your weather on your phone, unless you have a Jeff Beals Android phone, did you get the red flag alert as well?
Yeah. So it was on all the weather forecasts. And
so here's the National Weather Service, and it's a large part of, I assume, eastern Nebraska and western Iowa, a red flag alert because the humidity is very low, and it's probably windy, and they're concerned about fires igniting and spreading. And it makes me so appreciative of the Army Corps of Engineers a couple years ago that made sure that I had 30 feet of less forest behind my house, since I live up against Zorinsky's forest. And
they spent all that money doing that environmental degradation of millions of trees. Yes.
Yes. And so now, I've heard rumors about, I think it was 1846 or something, the Great West Omaha Forest Fire. And so I feel so much safer.
Back when West Omaha was nothing but prairie grass.
Exactly. So I've stopped flicking spent cigarettes off my back deck.
Well, considering that you don't smoke, that probably wasn't too hard of an adjustment for you.
Oh, yeah, good point.
That red flag thing, though, kind of a serious deal with as dry as it's been and the wind. The last few days it has just been windy. It's definitely got that Great Plains feel, although the temperature is great and it's been sunny and everything else. So enjoy the spring weather as long as you don't get blown away.
I hope there's no spontaneous combustion or something like that.
Let's go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. You can find them at 114th and Davenport, just south of 114 and Dodge, and online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. But, we're in April now, and spring and summer, big home buying seasons of the year. And if you are going to join that home buying parade, one of the first things you want to do is go to Eagle Mortgage, sit down with a mortgage broker, get a pre-approval letter. The nice thing about these mortgage brokers is they can shop a bunch of different banks. They're not beholden or tied into one. And they can really just kind of guide you through the process. We have been working with them for about 10 years here on Grow Omaha, and sent countless people there to get those loans, and everyone has been pleased, satisfied, delighted. Holly Schneidwin and her team do an outstanding job. eaglemortgagecompany.com is the name. So let's go into the news we have this week. A couple of little transportation public service announcements in the downtown area, if you will. The Martin Luther King Jr. pedestrian bridge is going to close next week for 5 days to accommodate construction work on Lewis and Clark Landing. Now, this is the bridge. If you get down there at all, you've probably seen it if you walk around the riverfront, but it's kind of hidden from 10th Street. It's back behind the CHI Center, and it connects the CHI Center to the riverfront. And anyway, so it's used by a lot of people that are maybe going from the Bob Carey Bridge to downtown. It's kind of a bridge to a bridge, if you will. And then the Riverfront Drive and Douglas Street extension will open Friday, April 14th. That'll give drivers direct access to Heartland of America Park and Lewis and Clark Landing. Now, this is different down there because, the Lewis and Clark Landing and Heartland of America Park have been going through the $300 million renovation. In fact, the two parks won't be completely done and open until late this summer. However, the Kiewit Luminarium, which sits on Lewis and Clark Landing, is opening next week. And so this is going to be done in order to get access to that, even though a lot of the park around the new Luminarium will still be under construction.
Now, does the Martin Luther King Bridge have anything to do with the Baby Bob?
No, but that's a good question. So the Martin Luther King Jr. pedestrian bridge hooks up to the kind of outdoor plaza on the south side of the CHI Center, and it takes you over to Lewis and Clark Landing, kind of close to where the old Rick's Cafe boatyard was, which is actually where Kiewit Luminarium is now. The Baby Bob is going to be a pedestrian bridge to a pedestrian bridge on the north side of the CHI Center.
I want my Baby Bob, Baby Bob, Baby Bob.
I want my Baby Bob. So that one has already started. I was down in the area scouting all of this.
We need to find a map.
I was down in that area scouting a couple of these things this week, and it looks like there's a lot of prep work for that Baby Bob. So the Baby Bob, let's say you are on the north side of the CHI or you're at Charles Schwab Field and you want to go over to the riverfront. It'll be a direct shot. In fact, part of it, I believe, will actually open up onto the Bob Carey Bridge. But that's going to take probably, year and a half to complete.
So I think we need to find some drawings from the city and post them on our Facebook page.
Yeah, you should get right on that.
Not it. Jeff's it. You guys heard it.
So there you have it. A lot of bridge and transportation and parking stuff going on in that riverfront area. Construction has gone vertical and is progressing on Alora 168. Alora 168. This is a 17-acre apartment development southeast corner of 168th and Highway 370. They're called apartminiums because there are apartment units, but they're designed more like as if you had a condominium unit. And Trenton, if you're on that 370 corridor right now, this is just one of a lot of projects. If you go a little further west, Hy-Vee is coming along, and
192nd
probably won't take too long before it's open.
Northeast corner.
And then west of that is where we believe Fleet Farm is going. You have a car wash going in that area, a Culver's, several other businesses, a lot of housing nearby. So that 370 corridor west of Interstate 80 is really going to fill.
And almost all of it is in developers' hands.
Yeah, and what you're going to see, it kind of reminds me of 204th Street through West Omaha and Sarpy County, in that a lot of the housing that's about a quarter mile or a mile back is popping up, and then they're saving the first quarter mile for commercial development.
And fun fact, a lot of people think that when you go to the outlet mall in Gretna,
Nebraska Crossing.
That's right, Nebraska Crossing.
That not just an outlet mall.
I agree. Pardon me, Rod. When you get off, that is not 204th Street.
No.
That is in front of the at the entrance of Nebraska Crossing. That's what,
16th.
216th Street, but it's also Highway 6.
And 31. Well, by the time you get to Nebraska Crossing, 6 veers off to the west to go to Ashland. So as you run along the west side of Nebraska Crossing, that would technically just be 31 there.
Okay,
but barely. So
there's been a lot of talk about a need for another interchange at the actual 204th and I-80.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of talk about different locations for it and stuff. I believe that that's where the intersection should be, is at 204th and I-80.
Yeah, the 204th one makes a lot of sense because Gretna and private developers in that area have big plans. I know Nebraska Crossing has talked publicly about another 1,000 acres that it could be involved in, with big-time tourist attractions and blockbuster retailers, and a lot of that is pretty likely to happen, actually. If the interchange was at 204th, that would make it happen. I would argue, and it's going to be expensive, you kind of need one at both 204th and 192nd because there's going to be so much traffic in that area and so much development. When you think about it, through Interstate 80, through the stem of I-80 through Omaha, there's an exit every mile. There's an exit every mile, and every one of them's packed. Well, that part of Sarpy County out there is going to be packed. There's going to be heavy development out there. You probably need you can't have one at 180th very easily because of the way things are laid out there. But 192nd and 204th, you could be able to do both of those.
And I liken this, and I know a lot of our listeners haven't been down there, but if you go check it out online, I've had the good fortune to meet my friends in the Brass Furniture Mart, Ryan Blumkin, going down to Grandscape, which is in the Colony, Texas, which I liken it to Gretna as to Omaha, where they basically came in with $1.5 billion development, and it spurred all kinds of office buildings, residential, other complementary commercial, and everything you could imagine a mixed-use development. And that's really what I see Gretna could be. Its own version, of course.
I completely agree, and all of that is very possible there, and in a lot of ways quite likely. We'll see how it actually shakes out and what businesses end up opening out there. But that exit at Gretna, I agree. I see that being a big time development with Nebraska Crossing being the anchor.
So what we're saying is if you own land in Gretna, farmland, commercial land, large tracts of residential land, you should call Trenton Magid. And I'm easy to find online. My number's out there. And I'd be happy to represent you in getting the most for your land.
So that is what we're saying. And I will back you up on that, though. Anyone who does choose you to be their commercial real estate broker is always very happy.
And I have 3 80-acre parcels right now in Sarpy County that are currently farms that are going to go commercial. 3 different well-respected developers. And now's the time to sell land. It's a seller's market, but there's money out there. Everybody's worried about interest rates and things like that. But a lot of these developers that have done so well over the years are willing to step up and pay good prices. So we've been involved in a number of transactions, and it helps with development, and we're all for it.
Well, after all of this Gretna and Sarpy County talk, let's get a little urban. First of all, update on skyscraper construction at 14th and Farnham. We got a couple of construction cranes that are on site now. These are not tower cranes that'll eventually be, 700, 750 feet in the air. These are cranes designed to help crews get the foundation started. And a lot of activity on the site there on the square block that will be Mutual of Omaha. Metro Transit recently celebrated Orbit's 1 millionth ride. Orbit is the Omaha Rapid Bus Transit System, which goes from Westroads Mall to downtown Omaha. Opened in November of 2020 and just had its millionth ride. I got to tell you, for years and years, you would drive by a City of Omaha bus. And it seems like seldom would you see very many people on it, except for maybe during rush hour or something like that. But I've noticed over the last several months, even if it's really cold outside, go by the Orbit stations on Dodge, there's usually someone waiting for the bus there. I think that system is going to get more and more popular just because it runs so conveniently, runs so quickly. It's on such a dense, by Omaha standards, a densely populated line, and it seems to be spurring a lot of real estate construction.
It'll be interesting to see in 2026 whether the start of the streetcar, whether it'll spin off into people who start riding the metro, the actual buses again, more and more.
Well, there's an article in the paper, World Herald this morning, Omaha.com, that was talking about Metro adding 7 new routes and increasing frequency. So, and that always comes with a little bit of controversy because that service is not inexpensive. And we taxpayers have to carry a burden for that. But we do have a severe labor shortage here in Omaha. And if there are ways that we can get people looking for jobs to jobs, at the same time, benefit lower income communities, this is probably a good thing. Because, we are getting to be a bigger city, and we've got to be able to get our workers as quickly and as easily to these jobs as we can, because we desperately need more people to work.
Yeah, and I've also been tracking the influx and following a correlation of the metro bus ridership increases with the number of DUIs that people get. So I don't think that's a good sign. But so I'm hoping that DUIs go down, but then the ridership still stays up.
We'll look forward to reading this white paper you're presumably writing about this, in which you're going to justify and explain all this so-called research you've done on this subject.
Yeah, it's called the Blow Start Chronicles.
The Omaha City Council voted 7-0 against roundabouts that would turn Farnham Street into a two-way all-day road. Currently, Farnham, between Happy Hollow Boulevard and the Med Center area, converts to a one-way road during weekday rush hours. A proposed engineering design supported by the city would have turned it into two-day all-day with roundabouts at 50th and 52nd Street, but the City Council said,
Nick Snee from the Neighborhood Way.
Yeah, a lot of neighbors were upset about pedestrian safety, so we'll keep our eye on that.
I wonder what Warren Buffett would have thought. He just a roundabout by his house.
Yeah, we'll keep our eye on it and see how that plays out and keep you informed of that project. And I think it makes a lot of sense to go two-way, but there is something a little bit kind of cool with the way that it switches, although it can be kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
And with that, we have completed your News of the Week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. When we come back, Trenton and I are going to, well, frankly, we're going to talk about more News of the Week because we've got other stories. Nebraska is is the most financially literate state. We have national publications talking about Omaha growth and development. Omaha hotel revenue is up. We've got a lot of things to talk about in the next segment, so stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid at your service. The show is brought to you by D&M Roofing and Siding, along with Dingman's Collision Center. So we had a little situation in our family. One of the family members bumped another car in a high school parking lot.
I heard about this.
A couple weeks ago, and so we talked to the owner of that car and said, we owe you a repair job. And
but your son left him a note, right?
Yeah, he's a good kid. Yeah, he fessed up to it.
I wonder why I got a call. He put my number on it. Thanks, Jack Beals.
See, now that's the old Tony, the old Trenton I used to know. That was a good one. That was a good one right there. So I said to the father of the kid whose car was in the parking lot that got scraped a little bit. I said, hey, Dingman's Collision Center will take good care of you, and the closest location to where this car owner lived was the 144th and Industrial Road location. So he took the car up there, and he's like, yeah, boy, they treated us great and all that. They're getting it done. They're going to get it fixed. It'll be just like it was before.
Just coming out of pocket?
Well, sure. But at any rate, always good to just send people to Dingman's, because you just know they're going to do such a good job, and you can always count on them, and they're so reliable. So for Omaha area locations, they also offer mechanical services as well. So some things we have to talk.
It was a good teaching moment.
Yeah, parenthood is full of good teaching moments.
Hope you get out of being grounded for.
Oh, no grounding, just a teachable moment. So anyway, on to business here. We have some good news coming out of the hotel industry. Omaha hotel revenue hit a record $251 million in 2022. That was up 25% from 2021. This was according to a report published in the World Herald last week. Before the pandemic, so in 2019, the revenue was $219 million. So things are really looking good.
And you say, so it's up, I didn't catch the number, so it's up over pre-pandemic levels.
Yes. So
that's really the
first thing I said is it went up 25% from 2021 and up, let's see here, $32 million from 2019.
We'll take it. That's a great sign.
Yeah, it's very, very encouraging.
And only 37% of that was the homeless that I'm sorry, I thought I was in California for a second.
Hey, boy. Okay, so let's talk about a couple other big things we have going on in terms of Omaha getting national publicity and exposure. The first one is Real Estate Journals, RE Journals. It's a Chicago-based publisher of real estate news. They have some national news. They do some regional news, but they cover commercial real estate. And Trent and I have been reading them for decades. And
I might have been in the inaugural class of the 40 over 40 successful real estate names in the Midwest, and I achieved that accolade honor when I was 38. So I was wise beyond my years.
So anyway, this RE Journals out of Chicago ran an article about Omaha's commercial real estate market. And kind of the theme that they started with was Omaha being resilient during uncertain times. Very true. In fact, I almost kind of get a little tired about reading about that theme when you read national real estate publications of Omaha, because it's been going on so long, thankfully. That's almost kind of like an old story. But we are. And, this market does tend to do well during good times, bad times, normal times. It's a steady place. It talked about how Omaha weathered the COVID-19 ill-advised shutdown pretty well compared to almost anywhere else in the country. Now, in the article, Baird Home attorney Amy Lawrenson was quoted, and she talked about the number of reasons why Omaha's market is steady, and she identified local developers taking a conservative approach to projects, a strong roster of Fortune 500 companies, and I would add several other additional Fortune 1000 companies, and the philanthropic nature of Omaha's business leaders.
Right, and the success, and I think that I don't think people here fully understand the amount of wealth that is in Omaha per capita, and especially in the development community, where a lot of projects get done with cash, and especially with rates going higher, so it's insulated us from a slowdown where other places that are too leveraged. So we're very fortunate to be in Omaha, and we're attracting a lot of different people from out of town. We had Spencer and I, the old Saigon Surface building downtown, a client that served in the military. He actually called me because he listens to our show. Thank you very much. And Spencer did a great job. Got that 5,000 square foot building. It's an office condo under contract, and now we have it for lease.
Okay, people probably don't know who this Spencer is you're talking about.
Oh, Spencer Morrissey in our office, our colleague, does some great stuff. And so he and I have that for lease, the old restaurant down on 14th Street. So if anybody's looking for a restaurant downtown, we've got it for lease.
Nebraska is the most financially literate state in America, according to WalletHub's 2023 list of the nation's most and least financially literate states. Nebraska, number one. The top five: number one, Nebraska; number two, Utah; three, Virginia; four, Colorado; five, Minnesota. This was based on 17 key metrics of all 50 states plus Washington, D.C. Nebraska's best category was financial planning and habits, where we ranked third. What about states nearby? Colorado was fourth, but Iowa, number 6, Missouri, 20, Kansas, 23, South Dakota, 44. Going to take our middle of the show break for the news, and when we come back, we're going to talk about whether Nebraska is an affordable or expensive place to start a business. And we're also going to talk about a very cool indoor entertainment business that is planning to go into a former Gordman store in West Omaha. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Deal sitting next to Trenton Maggot. We're brought to you by D&M Roofing and Siding and Dingman's Collision Center. D&M Roofing and Siding is the company you call for both commercial and residential roofs. And we're in spring now. The weather is really warming up. And so a lot of people have been kind of sitting on some roof repairs. They didn't want to do it in the winter. There's some things that maybe aren't the best things to do on certain roofs when it's really cold. Well, all of that is in the rear view mirror now. And so if you have been hesitating with any roof maintenance or roof repairs, stop doing that and go ahead and contact D&M Roofing and Siding. Eric Obrumt is the owner there, and he has assembled an outstanding team that just does top quality work. You're going to love their customer service. Their prices are very fair, and the deliverables make you happy.
I've had them do multiple roofs, both flat.
Yeah, you weren't on for a second, but go ahead.
I've had D&M Roofing do flat and shingled roofs for my family and myself, and they do a fabulous job.
It's time for our commercial real estate development spotlight of the week, which is brought to you by Noddle Companies. NoddleCompanies.com is where you can find them online. But wherever you find them, you should know that they are one of the Midwest's elite real estate development companies. They do a lot of mixed-use projects, specialty commercial projects. Been doing more and more residential stuff lately. In fact, Noddle Companies is working on a cool kind of like a urban-style housing thing at 63rd and Shirley Street on the east side of Exarban Village. But one of their projects that is big time and high profile in Omaha is the Builders District. The Builders District is in north downtown, just west of Charles Schwab Field and east of Creighton University. The anchor of the Builders District is Kiewit's World Headquarters. And right across the street,
Kiewit University.
Right across the street from the Kiewit headquarters, we've been talking about a project over the last several months that's getting underway. It is a 5-story office building constructed of mass timber instead of steel interior supports.
It has some steel.
That building is just about ready to go vertical. I drove by on my Gromaha tour this week, and foundation stuff is going great. I think you're going to start seeing that go vertical really quick.
Were there crews there hosing down the fire or hosing down the wood because of the red flag alert today?
The wood was not yet on site, but they are very close to going vertical. Then across the street, the Kiewit headquarters, that's been done for over a year now. But if you look at the Builders District, this is kind of a little interesting piece of trivia. I saw this on eOmaha forums this week. If you look at the master plan, the site plan documents for the whole Builders District, because there's a lot more to come in the Builders District that hasn't even been started yet, there's actually a little bit of a small office expansion for Kiewit University on top of the parking garage.
Oh, sweet.
So it looks like, that's something that could happen down the road. Kind of a nice little piece of Builders District trivia for you
And I
today.
wouldn't be surprised if we see another hotel or see a hotel in that area. The park, Sam Noddle's talked about all kinds of amenities for a park, and it's going to be its own district. It's not going to be a copy of Millwork Commons or the Capital District. It'll be its own identity with a lot of landscaping. You're going to have a lot of employees there.
Yeah, and eventually parking garages to accommodate all the people going to that area. And then, Creighton University has ambitious plans for continued campus expansion. So I think if you go to that area 10 years from today, you're going to see a very busy, very built-out Builders District, and you're going to see a bigger, even more vibrant Creighton University. And this is kind of a golden era for Creighton, athletically, the basketball team made it to the Elite Eight, but the enrollment is doing well, and the facilities. Like if you go to Creighton right now, they're wrapping up construction on that undergraduate health sciences building. Mm-hmm. They've got a new residence.
Clarence Werner, thank you.
For the Jesuits going up. The freshman residence hall's getting close to completion. A lot of exciting stuff there on campus. And that is your commercial real estate development spotlight of the week, brought to you by Noddle Companies. You can learn more about that firm and what they do at noddlecompanies.com. Well, Nebraska, unfortunately, is the 8th most expensive state in which to start a business.
No.
So in the last segment, we said some good things. We talked about Nebraska being the number 1 most financially literate state. But if you want to start a business here, it's a little bit pricey.
Got to pay for quality.
Nebraska business owners pay workers $51,392 on average annually, pay 6.42% in corporate tax, and average monthly commercial electric bill of just under $432. The 5 most expensive states were, in order, Minnesota, New York, Louisiana, Alabama, and Alaska. The 5 least expensive states to start a business, in order, Nevada, Colorado, Arkansas, Montana, and North Carolina. Well, let's talk a little bit about a cool business coming to, or hopefully coming to, far southwest Omaha. So you know the former Gordman store in Lakeside Village, Lakeside Development? That'd be about 172nd and West Center Road. So this company is called Bowl New England, B-O-W-L, Bowl New England, and they're going to open a location called Spare Time Omaha in that former, or at least they're planning to open this in the former Gordman store right there at 172nd and West Center Road. It'll be
about 50,000 feet.
Bingo. According to the planning documents, exactly 50,000 square feet. It'll have 22 lanes, 90 arcade games, laser tag, 2 escape rooms, a full-service restaurant, and a pizzeria. Now, this company, Bowl New England, that'll be operating Spare Time Omaha, is based in Vermont. They have 17 locations currently, most of them on the East Coast or eastern states. So that'll be a nice addition. What's significant about it from a development and real estate perspective, there's yet another example of big box retail spaces becoming something very different than what they were intended.
Adaptive reuse. And actually, I think that's a neat location. It'll definitely be more visible than the V was and all of its other uses that try to make an arcade and video place on the Ring Road at Oakview Mall. I think this will get more traffic, more visibility with a grocery anchor of bakers. It's in my neighborhood, basically, and I hope they do it. It'll be interesting to see. I do have my own bowling ball.
And we are going to take our final break of the morning. And when we come back, it will be the Turner Construction Lightning Round. And I'm looking at the list right here in front of me. A lot of good stuff on there. Things that you can talk about when you get together with friends and family over this holiday weekend. So stay with us. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And it's the Lightning Round here on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Turner Construction. Turner Construction is building Omaha's future. Got a big team of full-time employees right here in the Omaha market. They're the number one, Turner Construction is the number one builder in the United States of America for healthcare, commercial, education, and pharmaceutical manufacturing. And so this is a company that has a deep bench, deep resources, a deep history. And a lot of times with Turner, people think, oh, well, they're a big, huge company, and based in New York and Fortune 500 and all that sort of thing. The vast majority of their projects are under $5 million in value. And so they have so many projects every year that are small and medium sized as well. And while they're famous here in town for doing the Sarpy County Data Center, $1 billion plus project, also, I see them all over town building these Chase Bank branches and lots of other retail build-outs. So the main thing you need to know about them is very good people, especially that Omaha team. They're Omaha locals who really know and love the market, and we thank Turner Construction for making this lightning round possible. All right, well, here it goes, Trenton. First of all, a couple weeks ago, people may recall we talked about 2 bars from the state of Iowa that would be coming to the Capital District. We now know their names. One of them is going to be the Stuffed Olive, which martinis, but also a full restaurant. And then the other one is Roxy. And this one is defined on the Facebook page as, quote, a new concept celebrating individuality and weirdness that make all of us unique. So that will be an interesting bar.
Definitely interesting.
The 2 of them combined will occupy a 7,500 square foot space on the west side of the building that also has Texas de Brazil. Bottles and Barrels recently held a grand opening at 5331 South 204th Avenue. That's basically just southwest of 204th and Q. It's a locally owned liquor store, and what makes it unique, customers are allowed to self-pour more than 16 different wines, 16 bourbons and whiskeys, 24 beers, and 4 pre-batched cocktails.
They self-pay for them as well?
Now, a lot of people are now talking about pre-batched cocktails or cocktails already made on tap. And I don't know, I'm not saying anything disparaging about these because I've never been to Bottles and Barrels, but I'm kind of a cocktail snob. And the whole idea of like when you get a cocktail that's pre-mixed, I don't like it. So I'm a little bit skeptical about all these places that are talking about pre-batched, pre-mixed cocktails on tap.
Like Clamato juice.
Maybe they're outstanding. Who knows? So De Leon's Mexican Food has opened at 168th and Harrison. Cone Flower Creamery was named the best ice cream parlor in the Midwest Living's Best of the Midwest Awards last month. Cone Flower's the Blackstone District. And
Yum.
Guess what? Cone Flower just opened their Millwork Commons location a few days ago. So need to get there and try that. Can I make a confession?
Yes.
I have never tried Cone Flower Creamery.
You're kidding me.
Not kidding. I've tried,
That
but every time I've gone there, there's been a line. And if it's not the Great Depression, I don't wait in line for
that
food.
explains your svelteness.
I don't know about that, but I appreciate the compliment. So we have a new restaurant coming in called Jackson's Fair Deal Cafe. It opens today at the Fair Deal Village Marketplace, 2118 North 24th Street. This is from a restaurant called Jackson's Takeout at 62nd and Ames. So this will be the new sit-down concept. Opened at 8 a.m. this morning. Tagline is real food, real fast by Omaha natives. Jackson's Fair Deal Cafe.
Do you know what type of food it is?
To me, when I looked at it, it looked just kind of like a mix of like American and maybe kind of American and comfort.
Okay.
When I was looking at some of the pictures, kind of American and maybe some comfort, Southern comfort type food.
Okay.
So this was interesting. Last week, we announced that Malara's is closing on April 15th. They didn't make it to April 15th. They're already closed.
I talked to them, and anybody that's looking to do something with their buildings, give me a call.
Yeah, so apparently, people loved Malara's so much, they heard they were closing, so they swamped the place, ran out of food, and so they had to close earlier than April 15th. So people,
sadly, Mrs. Malara passed away last month.
Yeah, people are going to really miss that place. That was one, because it was tucked in the South Side. I probably only went there a couple times a year, but when I did, I always loved it. Just a good place that is going to be sorely missed in the Omaha market. And then construction is now underway for On the Border in Papillion.
Finally, you know how long? We've been talking about that for 7 years probably.
Has it been that long? Yeah. 7 years? Wow. Okay, so it's going to be in a former pizza ranch on 72nd Street in Papillion. The music's playing, which means we are done for this week. We appreciate you joining us. I'm Jeff Beals.
Happy Easter. I'm Trenton Maggot.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, D&M Roofing and Siding, and Turner Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.